Have you ever met someone who just doesn't seem to care about parties, small talk, or keeping up with the latest social trends? They'd rather spend a Friday night buried in a book, lost in thought, or working on some obscure project that no one else understands. And when you ask them why they don't go out more, they shrug and say something like, "I just don't see the point." At first you might think they're antisocial, arrogant, or just weird, but what if there's actually a deep philosophical reason behind their indifference to social life? What if, in a way, they're seeing something most of us don't? This isn't just a modern phenomenon, it's something the 19th century German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote about extensively. He argued that intelligent people often withdraw from society not because they hate people, but because they find most social interactions painfully shallow, while the rest of us chase validation, gossip, and the approval of others. Schopenhauer believed that truly intelligent individuals seek something deeper, the life of the mind. And once you experience that depth, the trivialities of social life start to feel like a waste of time. But before we dive into Schopenhauer's philosophy, let me tell you a quick story. Imagine two people at a party. The first is the life of the event, charismatic, always laughing, moving from group to group, effortlessly holding everyone's attention. The second is sitting alone in the corner, nursing a drink, occasionally glancing at the crowd with mild disinterest. Most people would assume the first person is happier, more successful, more alive. But Schopenhauer would argue the opposite. He'd say the person in the corner isn't lonely, they're free. Free from the exhausting performance of social approval, free from the need to impress, free to think their own thoughts without the noise of the crowd. This is the core of Schopenhauer's argument. The smarter you are, the less you need society. And that's not because intelligent people are cold or emotionless. It's because they've discovered a richer, more fulfilling way to exist. But why? What is it about intelligence that makes social life seem so unappealing? And is there a downside to this withdrawal? Let's break it down. First, Schopenhauer believed that most social interactions are built on boredom and neediness. People come together not because they have anything meaningful to share, but because they're afraid of being alone with their own thoughts. They chatter about nothing, repeat the same opinions, and obsess over trivial dramas. Not because these things matter, but because they're desperate to fill the silence. For someone with a sharp mind, this is torture. Imagine being forced to listen to the same shallow conversation over and over like a broken record. Eventually, you'd rather just walk away. But it's not just boredom, it's also mismatched values. The average person seeks validation, status, and belonging. They want to be liked, to fit in, to feel important. But for someone deeply intellectual, these things feel hollow. Why waste energy trying to impress people when you could be reading, creating, or contemplating the mysteries of existence? Schopenhauer put it bluntly. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. In other words, you're most authentic when you're not performing for others. Now you might be thinking, but isn't socializing important for happiness? Schopenhauer would say, not necessarily. He argued that happiness comes from within, from self-sufficiency, intellectual curiosity, and the ability to enjoy your own company. The more you rely on others for entertainment or validation, the weaker your inner world becomes. Think about it. If you can't stand being alone, what does that say about you? That you're dependent on external noise to drown out your own emptiness. But here's the twist: Schopenhauer wasn't advocating for total isolation. Even he admitted that some social interaction is necessary, but it has to be meaningful. A deep conversation with a like-minded friend is worth 1,000 shallow parties. The problem isn't people, it's mediocrity. Most social gatherings are designed for the lowest common denominator, and if you're someone who craves depth, you'll always feel out of place. So what's the solution? Schopenhauer's answer was simple. Seek solitude, but don't vanish completely. Cultivate a rich inner life so you're never truly lonely. Read, write, create, think. Surround yourself with a few exceptional people who stimulate your mind and ignore the rest. Because at the end of the day, the smarter you are, the more you realize most of social life is just a distraction from what really matters. But here's the real question: is this a good way to live? Is withdrawing from society the mark of intelligence, or is it just another form of arrogance? After all, humans are social creatures. Even Schopenhauer admitted that complete isolation leads to madness. Maybe the key is balance. Maybe the truly wise person isn't the one who rejects society entirely, but the one who engages with it on their own terms. They socialize when it's meaningful, retreat when it's not, and never apologize for valuing depth over superficiality. So the next time you see someone sitting alone at a party, don't assume they're lonely. They might just be the smartest person in the room.